Now you have a partner, and you've connected with them on another thing we're talking about because of their chemistry and their character, and they're a good fit. Because you don't want to partner with someone who's not a good fit. If you don't like them and they don't like you, then they're just in the wrong place, because they need to be hanging out with someone that Jesus made them to work with. So don't try to make it work. What you do is you spend time in relationships so things do work. Okay, so when that competency has happened, now what's the ministry that they're passionate about? And that's another little thing that we'll talk about, but it's how our, particularly our men's group, and not just men who can do this, but our men's group, a Bible study, they take their core business competencies in aerospace and business and manufacturing and all kinds of other areas, finance, and they invest in folks to help them realize their dream. We're almost there now. So they've got a dream, but usually it's more of an idea, and it's not, you can have an idea of a child, but like what color's their hair and their eyes and how many fingers are they going to have and what are their core competencies going to be? Are they going to be verbal like me, or are they going to be someone who's a deep thinker and is a person of what's the whole baby look like? And so our leaders help them come up with a business model and a marketing plan. So I have this vision, one of our guys has a vision to help children with handicaps, and so he created, out of bicycle parts and wheelchair parts, wheelchairs that could be pedaled with people's hands who are polio victims. That's great, but it's limited. So last summer, Hassan said, I'm going to go back to my country, and when I come back, I'm going to pray, and I'm going to research, and I'm going to figure out what the ministry is, not just the wheelchairs. And so what's that local person want? What is their passion? What is their desire? Then Hassan sat down with a fellow from our group who's worked for governments and NGOs and all kinds of things, and they filled a whiteboard with his vision. Because it's not just who are these kids, but what is it they can do? And Hassan decided, I want to start a school for them, but a school that'll start another school and another school. So what are the things that I can do if I can only use the top half of my body? What are the trades that I can be involved in? How could we build that into an institution? What are the resources there for teaching, for trades? And in that locality even, like chickens, that'll be part of it, and pigs, and fish. But why chickens? Well, this is going to be in Jos, Africa, and Jos is on a high plateau. It's an old abandoned, but non-functioning crater, almost the size of the LA basin. So it's cool enough that chickens can live, not hip cool, but temperate cool. So chickens can actually be grown, and they're actually exported all over the country from there as living birds. Not frozen and chopped up like in the U.S., but living birds are moved. But if you try to grow those living birds in the lower parts of the country, it's too hot and humid, and in the summertime, the birds go to heaven. They just drop over. So they've got to be trucked to all these different places. So here's a natural business that's indigenous, that can raise capital and be participated in as people come in. Some of the other trades won't have money, and so it won't be able to fund the school. If you're learning welding, the first thing you weld isn't going to make you money, it's just going to make a mess of the metal. Computer competencies is the same way. Some of these trades will require education that will not produce revenue for the school up front, but the fishery will. A new student can come in and you can take them out there and wheel them out and say, here, you're going to come out here every day at this time and you're going to take from this bucket and huck food into this tank. That's going to be your job. So that business is ongoing, that's funding the school from day one. So the business model is helping look at this and say, what are the things that can produce revenue now? What are the things that can produce revenue long term? And what are the things that can produce revenue for the student long term? Then you also have to look at economic systems. How are you creating an economic system so that the student is participating in their education so it has value to them? Right now, Bernie Sanders is running for president saying free education. But most socialized countries have found that you need students to pay at least 30%. This has been tried in Denmark and other places in Europe. 100% scholarship, what it results in is a whole lot of people hanging out and smoking some doobie and randomly going to class. And this is a Christian video, so just delete that part. Okay, so here's the deal. If you give 100% scholarship to someone, they don't have any ownership in it. They're not invested in it. And what I'm not investing in, I'm not participating in. I'm just using it and discarding it. So a business model has to take into account all of these factors. Not only does a person have talent and ability, but they also have to have responsibility and participation so that their gifts are realized, grown, and shared with the world. Even if you create it as a loan or a debt, then they're owning it, they're participating in it, and an economic cycle is created. Even if they pay $1 a month for the next 3 years after graduating, now there's a funding mechanism, another one internal to the country, where they have a relationship with the school. We do this in the U.S. all the time. Everyone who's gone to a school gets a call, like I do every year, from the school and the graduate school saying, hey, don't you want to send us some money? But those economic systems, the movement of money, is how economies are created. And in the West, we think, I'll just pay for it. It doesn't cost that much. When we first partnered with Samila in helping students go to seminary who didn't have the resources, the cost was $58 a month. It's negligible. But listening to the partner and his model and his plan, he said, we cannot give them $58 a month. No more than 50. So this way they'll go back and they'll work their family plot of land in the summer, no more than the size of a living room in the average home, and they'll grow their crops and they'll can and they'll do all of that, and they'll be investing in their education as well, and they won't become dependent. We're not trying to create dependencies. We're trying to create servants who are giving themselves away and are highly invested in what they're doing. So there's an economic function, there's a personal function of who they are. All of these things have to be happening together as their gifts are released and they're serving. And that's too long, Sam.